Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Appliancer Yugioh deck profile for October 2024. I feel like the Appliancer deck is a deck that needs some more support, especially along the lines of main deck monsters, to be able to make full use of this link heavy deck. We have so many extra deck monsters that you can basically make a complete extra deck for the Appliancers just using the had cards we have so far, but we only have 3 main deck monsters, so that's all I'm asking. A little more Appliancer support. Maybe just this deck profile is all it takes for us to get the push for new Appliancer cards. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Appliancer monsters, we're running 3 copies of Appliancer Socket Roll. If you control an Appliancer monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If another Appliancer Socket Roll is special summoned to your field while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 Appliancer Socket Roll from your deck. You can only use each effect of Socket Roll once per turn. So it's just easy special summon, giving you your resources. The Appliancer Link monsters are all low link monsters that you can summon out. So as long as you have the monster resources to do so, you can summon out the Appliancer monsters, and aside from the turn they are link summoned, you can use the Appliancer Link monsters to also summon out your different Appliancer monsters as well. We're also running 3 copies of Appliancer Copy Buckle. With this card, you can target 1 Appliancer monster you control, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card's name becomes that monster's name until the end phase. So this also works with Socket Roll being able to copy its name, so then Socket Roll's effect will activate since Copy Buckle basically copied its name for the special summon. And then also with this card during the main phase, except the turn was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard, target an Appliancer monster you control, special summon 1 monster with the same name from your hand or graveyard. Just more reliance on that copy form that it's supposed to do with this card, and then being able to give you those additional Appliancer resources. One of the hand trap like Appliancer monsters we run is our Appliancer Breaker Bunkle. During damage calc, if an Appliancer monster you control battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can discard this card for that battle. That monster you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage. And if an Appliancer monster you control be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead. So as I said, it's a hand trap along the lines you can send it, and then also have the additional banish effect to protect your Appliancer monsters by card effects. So you have the battle and battle damage for the hand trap option, and then just the additional banish option for extra protection. So you can also just set it up in the graveyard as a normal summon resource for your Appliancer Link summon, and then have it in the graveyard to protect the newly made Appliancer Link monster that's on the field. And then for the rest of the main deck monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 3 copies of Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. As I said, this is a deck with not so many main deck monsters, and all the Appliancer Link monsters need Appliancer monsters to be able to summon them out. So if we can get some more main deck monsters, I definitely do think it could help to strengthen the power of the deck. For the spells, we run 3 copies of the field spell Appliancer Electrolyrical World. When it's activated, you can add 1 Appliancer card from your deck to your hand, except for the field spell. And once per turn, if you link summon an Appliancer Link monster, you can add 1 Appliancer monster from your graveyard to your hand. And once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, you can move 1 Appliancer monster you control to one of your main monster zones. You can only activate 1 Appliancer Electrolyrical World per turn. So this is search power, but also being able to move around your Appliancer monsters in the main monster zone means that you can gain different card effects as well, because the Appliancer monsters vary on effects, whether they are co-linked or not. So the main thing that you will set up the Appliancer monsters with will be your Appliancer Celtopus, which is basically the connection for all of the other Appliancer monsters to connect and use the co-link or non-co-link card effects of them. We also run 3 copies of Appliancer Reuse. You target 1 Appliancer monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So it's just another resource grab for your Appliancer monsters in the graveyard as resources to use back onto the field as well. There's not even a once per turn on this card, so if you have multiples, you can target multiple Appliancer monsters in your graveyard and summon them onto the field to use. And also 3 copies of Appliancer Conversion. A quick play spell, banish as many Appliancer Link monsters from your main monster zone as possible. Then you can special summon your banished Appliancer Link monsters up to the number of banished by this effect. During your main phase, if this card's in your graveyard except the turn was sent there, you can banish 1 other Appliancer spell trap in your graveyard to add this card to your hand. So as long as you have that other resource, you can grab the card that is basically meant to swap around your Appliancer monsters on the field, re-changing the order for those cards with more of a setup on your opponent's turn to do so, since this is a quick play spell. And 2 copies of Appliancer Test. You target 1 Appliancer Link monster you control. Special summon as many Link 1 Appliancer monsters from your graveyard as possible to zones that monster points to, but banish them during the end phase. So you can, target your Celtopus with this card, grabbing 2 Appliancer Link monsters. It's a little more situational depending on the play, because you have to have that Appliancer Link monster that you can use for the co-link power, which the only one that can do that is Celtopus, being a Link 2 monster. So you need to rely on Test to be able to have that Link monster to be able to target for that summon also. And then also 3 copies of Machine Duplication. You can get around the fact that your socket roll needs the search by just using Machine Dupe to summon the 2 additional copies to the field to begin with. Just an easier way to do so, because you can use Machine Duplication with all of the Appliancer monsters in the main deck, since their attack points are low enough to do so. The 2 copies of Limiter Removal. You just need more of a power push in this deck for some of the Appliancer monsters' attacks, so Limiter Removal definitely does come in handy for that. Also, 2 copies of Where Art Thou, just for more of the level 1 search. Most of the time you'll control level 1 with this deck before you go for your Link play, so use Where Art Thou just to grab another monster. You may take 2,000 points of damage if you don't normal summon it, but still I would say worth the chance to then be able to add that monster from your deck to your hand. And for the 1-ofs for the spells, 1 copy of Terraforming to search out Electric Lyrical World. Monster Reborn is just a less restrictive special summon compared to our Appliancer Reuse. And then also the 1-for-1, same premise with the Where Art Thou, just an easier way to grab that monster as well. For the traps, we're running 3 copies of Imperial Infinite Impermanence, and then also, along with this hand trap being run with the Ash Blossom and Ghost Mourner, 1 copy of Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control 1 type of monster, which ours would be Machine, for the majority of what we do run in the deck. I would say very, very useful, just being able to have machines as the limitation, and stopping a good amount of plays our opponent may try to do also. For the extra deck, we're running 2 copies of Appliancer Celtopus. This Link card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effect. The Link card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects or their monster's attacks. And during damage calc, an Appliancer Link monster you control co-link to this card battles an opponent's monster. Your battling monster gains attack equal to the number of co-link cards this card times 1,000. And during damage calc only, once per turn, if an Appliancer Link monster you control that is not co-linked to this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can draw 1 card. So getting around by moving those non-co-link monsters on the field, Celtopus is your setup for those cards. It's the power boost card that provides for those other Appliancer monsters. You have plenty of arrow spots to be able to co-link with your other Appliancer monsters, depending on where you place them on the field. You just need to have this card set up in your extra monster zone to do so. It just needs 2 Appliancer monsters. So you can either go for the main deck monsters or summon out your Appliancer Link monsters and then use them the following turn also. And also 2 copies of Appliancer Vacuolifant. Once it cannot be used as link material the turn it's link summon, and it can attack directly while this card is not co-linked. And also you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. If this card is co-linked, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's monster zone and destroy it. You can only use 1 Appliancer Vacuolifant effect per turn, and once the turn, it's destruction power. You also have the attack directly option if it's not co-linked, so just being able to have this card be able to do that and then have it to target a monster. If it is co-linked, you have the varying card effects depending on if your Appliancer monsters are co-linked or not. Same with our Laundry Dragon, which we're also running 2 copies of. Cannot be used as link material the turn it's link summon. Neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this card. And once per turn after damage calc, if this card co-linked battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster. And once per turn after damage calc, if this card is not co-linked battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster and inflict damage to opponent equal to its original attack. So destruction, as long as Laundry Dragon can get over that monster, it can hit for some damage as well, depending on the co-link or non-co-link card effect as well. Also the 2 copies of Kappa Scale with this card, having the option of to tribute it. Then basically you can tribute this card that is not co-linked to special summon a level 4 lower Appliancer from your graveyard, giving you resources to then just summon out more and more use for your Appliancer cards as well. So you can use Kappa Scale as more of an option for your play style, being able to tribute this card if it's co-linked to special summon an Appliancer Link monster from your graveyard, and a non if it's not co-linked. So the 2 copies of Propel Ion for the option of with this card cannot be used as link material the turn it's link summon. It can attack directly, and once per turn during damage calc, if it battles an opponent's monster while it's co-link, you can make that opponent's monster's attack 0. So just a way to reduce down your opponent's monster's attack thanks to this card, with the last being Dryer Drake and its attack twice option. We had plenty of Appliancer monsters for the non non-Appliancer Link monsters, 1 Anima, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 SP Little Knight, and the 1 Borrelsaur as more of just a generic lineup to be able to go into if we ever need it. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said, basically resource grab is a big part of what you can do in the deck. If you have your Appliancer Socket Roll and your Machine Dupe, I would say that's one of your best plays, or with ever of the Appliancers, because then you use Machine Dupe to grab the 2 additional copies of your Socket Roll. And remember, aside from Celtopus, you can't use the Appliancer monsters for Link Summon the turn they're summoned. So what you want to do is, go for the Celtopus first, need 2 Appliancer monsters to set up this monster, and then use the final Socket Roll for whatever play you may need for your play to go into as well. So with this card, you can go with the Kappa scale and have it not be co-linked by putting it in the arrow there with Celtopus, using its tribute play to grab you 1 additional of your Appliancer monsters in the graveyard. Since it wasn't co-linked, you can grab the non-link monster, going for 1 additional link summon with this card. So you could do your co-link play, depending on what you want to go for, with this monster. And then if you have the Appliancer special summon needs, you can then use your Appliancer reuse spell to summon back the Kappa that you tributed to have that card also be co-linked with your additional monster. And you have the main setup that you will use now for your Appliancer link monsters. Depending on the monster you want to go for, will determine which one you want to summon and co-link or not co-link with your Celtopus to have the other different card effects. That's where the other quick play spells also come in handy with this deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.